And so since the end game of our digital transformation is just to create and add value to our lives, I believe it's important that we spend a little more time exploring the business of the VRA, who in the last 60 years have been powering this sector of ours by adding value to our lives. Speaking to us on behalf of the CEO is his deputy in charge of finance. Would you please make welcome as he speaks to us on powering Ghana's digital agenda with clean and sustainable energy, Dr. Ebenezer Tego.
Good morning to you all. Captains of industries, CEOs, and head of institutions, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I deem it a great privilege to be able to share with you our thoughts on the topic powering Ghana's digital agenda with clean and sustainable energy. Looking around, there are some slides that have to be shared. Looking around, we can see digital technologies everywhere, affecting the way we live, work, travel, play, and socialize. On a daily basis, objects such as watches, home appliances, and cars are being connected to communication networks to provide a range of services and appliances such as personal healthcare, entertainment, banking, surveillance, home automation, and intelligent transport, all in real time on demand. Digital technologies have transformed the way we do business. Technologies such as e-commerce, digital communication, industrial robots, and 3D printing are becoming standard practice in certain business applications. These technologies help increase accuracy, improve efficiency, and reduce costs. As billions of new devices become connected daily, they will draw electricity at the plug and thus drive growth in energy demand for especially data centers and network services. Take, for example, the internet. Global internet traffic surged by almost 40% between February and mid-April 2020. I think the graph shows from 2010, you can see the world population juxtaposed against the internet penetration. But look at the story in 2020. This growth comes on top of rising demand for digital services over the past decade. From 2010 to 2020, internet usage is said to have increased by a whopping 1,266%. The number of internet users at the end of 2020 is reported to be about 4.9 billion, equivalent to 63% of the world's population. Out of this, mobile traffic accounted for about 50.3%. Demand for data and digital services is expected to continue its exponential growth over the coming years, with global internet traffic expected to reach 4.2 zettabytes per year by 2022, double what it was in 2029. These trends are driving exponential growth in demand for data centers, network services, and energy use, mostly electricity, with multiplier effects. We can therefore say that digitization is changing the status quo, not only in connectivity, but in all sectors, including transportation, healthcare, manufacturing, and many others. Yesterday, we heard of digitization in our port services, our healthcare and public services, etc. For now, let me single out one key sector where digitization is gradually but ultimately redefining the goalpost, which is transportation. Globally, transportation accounts for 28% of final energy demand, with most of the demand coming from road freight vehicles, that's about 36%, and passenger light-duty vehicles, also 28%. Technological breakthroughs in the electrification of buses and trucks is stealthily furthering the takeover of the conventional market by electric vehicles. Even shipping and aviation are making electrification progress, as several electric ships are now in operation in Europe and China, and the first all-electric commercial passenger aircraft flight took place in December 2019 when a retrofitted seaplane took a 15-minute flight from Vancouver in British Columbia. The resultant effect for us in the electricity business is that digitization of the transport sector will end up increasing electricity demand as the various transport systems switch from conventional fuels to electric models. Ladies and gentlemen, digital transformation is also breaking down boundaries between sectors, increasing flexibility and enabling integration across entire systems. In the electricity sector, digitization is blurring the distinction between generation and consumption of electricity. Rooftop solar systems, especially half-generation, transmission, and distribution systems, all integrated on the consumer's premise. While some of these rooftop solar systems are standalone, others are currently injecting electricity at the distribution network levels as embedded generation. Digitization has thus made it possible to provide the flexibility needed to integrate more embedded generation from variable renewable energy sources into our electricity network. Data and analytics in the electricity value chain are known to help reduce power system costs in at least 4 ways: by reducing operations and maintenance costs, improving power plant and network efficiency, reducing unplanned outages and downtime, and extending the operational lifetime of assets. Some research, and indeed extant literature, has demonstrated that digitization can have major benefits in terms of energy efficiency for both households and organizations. It is, however, expected that growth in electricity demand resulting from increased digitization will far outweigh any energy efficiency gains, particularly in developing economies like ours, where digitalization is expected to expand all aspects of the economy. In the year 2020, internet penetration in Africa was reported to be about 43%, while that of Ghana was 46.5%. This is according to internetworldstats.com. This buttresses the fact that there is more for growth in digital communication and potentially more demand for electricity to power user devices, data centers, and other communication equipment. Another issue worthy of note is the fact that individual behavioral changes occur as digitalization grows. Social media platforms like WhatsApp have made communication easier and more efficient than traditional telephony. We have seen the users of these platforms now spend more time on their phones and use more energy than they would have done in the past. This has resulted in telecommunication companies increasing the capacity of cell sites and thus consuming more electricity. Likewise, streaming platforms are encouraging people to watch more video content than they typically would. It is reported that about 45% of the world's population watch at least 1 hour of online videos each day. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana has made great strides in the arena of digitalization, as we heard yesterday from His Excellency, the Vice President of Ghana. We are aware that our Ministry of Communications and Digitalization is working on a number of policies aimed at achieving cost-effective information and communications infrastructure and services. The ministry is also known to be promoting a knowledge-based society and a smart economy through the increased use of information and communication technology. The National Digital Agenda has the potential to bring significant economic development as indicated in the various policies related to digitalization. As witnessed in the area of the cell phone connectivity and mobile money, digitization offers a huge potential for the nation to increase access to essential services such as health, education, mobility, trade, and many others in a more transparent and efficient manner. All initiatives stemming from our various ICT policies will require technologically advanced equipment and presumably more electricity supply. There is therefore the need for increased and efficient power infrastructure to supply this envisaged growth in electricity demand. This view is supported by the Ghana Integrated ICT for Accelerated Development policy, which has identified the provision of adequate power as one of the enablers of digitalization in Ghana and incorporates the expansion of physical infrastructure, including power equipment, as one of the pillars required to successfully implement the policy. Noting that climate action has become a trending issue in the midst of extreme weather conditions, and also the fact that it is a key component of the Sustainable Development Goals SDG 13, it is imperative that we power that additional demand resulting from Ghana's digital transformation from clean and sustainable energy. This will help the nation decrease its carbon footprint and also reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Ladies and gentlemen, access to clean and sustainable energy has been a keystone of the world since the beginning of engineering modernization. During the Industrial Revolution, fossil fuels prevailed as the main source of energy. In the digital age, solar photovoltaics, PV, and wind power are now the mainstream options in the power sector. Industrial companies in Ghana, such as Cargill, Guinness, and other manufacturers, have in recent times augmented their power supply with on-site solar PV systems, gradually incorporating clean energy in their electricity supply, as has been done by global giants such as Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. Despite the challenges associated with the variability of renewable energy sources, there has been a significant increase in the use of clean and renewable energy between the years 2010 and 2020, with 30% of the world's electricity supply currently reported to be from renewables. And so, as you can see, you have the various sources of power, and you can see nuclear almost sliding. You see gas plateauing, you see coal coming down, and you see renewables going up. And that is the trend for the future. Cost reductions and sustained policy support are further expected to drive strong renewables growth beyond 2022. Solar PV and onshore wind are already the cheapest ways of adding new electricity generating plants in most countries today. solar projects now offer some of the lowest cost electricity in history. Overall, renewables are set to account for 95% of the net increase in global power capacity through 2025 and are projected to overtake coal to become the largest source of electricity generation worldwide in 2025. Hydropower, which is by far the largest source of renewable electricity worldwide, will continue to supply almost half of global renewables electricity, followed by wind and solar PV. And this is shown in the chart that cumulatively the renewables, also hydro, wind, solar, bioenergy, and the rest, cumulatively are taking over from coal and natural gas. Furthermore, climate change has generated worldwide discussions on alternative sources of energy. The only way to alleviate the threat of climate change is to decarbonize the global economy by reducing the use of fossil fuels and introducing more low-carbon energy sources such as wind, solar, hydropower, and nuclear. Nations that signed the Paris Agreement in 2015 agreed to decarbonize their energy and power sectors. This includes the decarbonization of transport systems by phasing out internal combustion engines and replacing with a system that is dominated by electric vehicles that draw their energy from clean energy sources. Ghana has ratified the UNFCCC Paris Agreement and seeks to make its contributions to the agreement through the implementation of energy efficiency programs and has therefore enacted the Renewable Energy Act to promote the use of renewable energy sources in Ghana. The road to achieving the objective of the Paris Agreement would only be possible through a combination of the use of clean energy to power digitization in the transport, industry, building sectors, and the other businesses. The International Energy Association's Energy Technology Perspective 2020 report states that greater use of electricity generated from renewables for powering electric vehicles, recycling metals, cooling and heating buildings, and many other tasks can make the single largest contribution to reaching net zero emissions. Our nation can therefore concurrently address issues on climate change, economic growth, development, and digitization by using clean and sustainable energy to electrify Ghana's digitization agenda. As a nation, we are blessed with significant levels of clean and renewable energy resources. The solar map of Ghana shows that there is adequate solar irradiance in all parts of Ghana for installing utility-scale and distributed commercial solar PV systems. This is important because distributed solar PV systems can be deployed at institutions such as schools and hospitals where the digitization policies are being implemented on smaller and cost-effective scales. So it is very clear that Ghana lies in a zone which benefits from very efficient irradiance. The wind resource map of Ghana shows that the wind, however, is site-specific and therefore more centralized large wind farms will be required to offset the power and energy requirements of the digitization drive. In areas with appreciable wind speeds, such as coastal Ghana and high altitude locations, and so you can see that the site which is very conducive for wind, for electrical generation is the southwest, and also where you have the Equatorial ranges. Small wind turbines could also be deployed to support localized digitization programs. Distinguished guests, the nation's energy sector has over the years developed plans and policies to incorporate clean and sustainable energy in meeting our power and energy demands. The recently amended Renewable Energy Act mandates fossil fuel power generators and industrial manufacturers to install renewable energy plants to augment their dependence on fossil-generated power. That's fossil fuel-generated power. The Act also enforces the Renewable Energy Purchase Obligation, which has the aim to promote penetration of renewable energy in the Ghana power and energy sectors. The Ministry of Energy further has a target of achieving renewable energy penetration of at least 10% by the year 2030. The Ministry of Energy is also implementing the Ghana Renewable Energy Policy through the Scaling Up Renewable Program and the Ghana Goes Solar Initiative, which intends to augment power to governmental institutions with rooftop solar PV systems. Distinguished guests, let me highlight that using clean and sustainable energy in powering Ghana's digitization agenda will bring on board environmental, social, and economic benefits to our country. As already mentioned, clean and sustainable energy would result in the avoidance of greenhouse emissions and contribute to global efforts to mitigate global warming and climate change. Clean and sustainable energy will help to reduce greenhouse gases emissions, which contribute to global warming and impact weather patterns, leading to inclement and extreme weather conditions. Extreme weather patterns can damage infrastructure and cause disruptions in cropping patterns, which can cause famine and hunger. It is therefore more prudent to locally tackle climate change by complementing our power systems with clean and sustainable energy resources, which will not increase greenhouse gas emissions. The characteristics of some renewable energy sources and the advent of distributed generation networks can help in the reduction of losses when the generation sources are sited close to the point of use. This will also reduce the risk associated with widespread power losses stemming from grid disturbances or natural disasters. Clean and sustainable energy also assists governments to meet the Sustainable Development Goals, which has the objective of improving the lives of all people on Earth by developing an energy and power source that will support both the present generation and the generations yet unborn. Other additional benefits in the use of clean and sustainable energy includes sustainable power generation from naturally replenishing sources, contributing to Ghana's nationally determined objective in accordance with the UNFCCC Paris Agreement, competitive electricity tariffs with higher certainty and no fuel cost, trading of carbon credits, which will be beneficial to the country. And it also brings about economic and social inclusion. The solar and wind resources maps of Ghana indicate that the best solar and wind resources are in the rural areas. The installation of utility-scale solar PV and wind farms in those areas will increase economic activities as well as bring social inclusion during construction and operation of the plants. Alternative use of non-arable land. Utility-scale land-based solar PV requires large areas of land. Energy Commission's Renewable Energy Master Plan encourages the use of non-arable land for utility-scale PV solar plants. It will also lead to higher resilience to natural disasters. Utility-scale solar PV and wind farms can be operated remotely. Similarly, rooftops solar PV and small wind turbines do not require a lot of operations and maintenance. During pandemics and natural disasters, rooftop systems are likely to be operated without human intervention. Increasing variable renewable energy sources such as solar and wind energy into the grid network will require storage of dispatchable reserve plants for grid stability due to the variable nature of the solar PV and wind energy. The increased contribution of clean and sustainable energy sources in the nation must therefore be complemented with dispatchable power plants like hydro and nuclear plants to smoothen the variability associated with renewable power sources. This is buttressed in Ghana's Renewable Energy Master Plan, which indicates that Ghana Grid Company must invest in modern weather forecasting equipment and stations synchronized with weather stations at various utility-scale renewable electricity installations for proper and timely planning of dispatch. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I draw the curtains down on my presentation, let me throw some light on VRA's contribution to meeting the energy demand for digitization with clean and sustainable energy. The Volta River Authority, as a state-owned enterprise that implements Government of Ghana's energy policies, has taken a leadership role in powering the Ghana digital agenda with clean and sustainable energy. VRA has delivered clean and sustainable power in Ghana since the 1960s. And so VRA is 60 years old, and you can see by the dress I'm wearing. VRA has powered the economy of Ghana since the 60s with Akosombo Hydro and pump generating power stations. The Akosombo Hydro generation plant has supported the national grid and has become the most sustainable power source in Ghana with the lowest tariff also. VRA developed the nation's first utility-scale PV solar of 2.5 megawatts in Navrongo in 2013 as part of its renewable energy development program. The authority is also on course to complete a 19.6 megawatts solar facility at the Upper West region of Ghana, which will be further expanded to 35 megawatts. Other renewable plants also under various degrees of development include the 60 megawatt Pualugu Hydro power project, which comes with a 50 megawatt solar PV complementation, the 17 megawatt wind power project in Angloga in the Volta region, 40 megawatt Bongo solar project, amongst others. VRA is also developing a renewable energy system on all its institutional buildings to reduce self-consumption and increase its green credentials, and has commissioned studies towards the Akosombo Smart City project, which is expected to be a precursor that will assist Ghana in piloting the digital transformation and clean energy initiative in a comprehensive manner. The Akosombo Smart City project will be an innovative city with a technological hub, smart grids, electric mobility, high-speed connectivity, eco parks, smart medical park, real-time surveillance systems, amongst others. VRA has a track record of successfully implementing digitization in its administrative processes as part of the roadmap to the new VRA. The authority is currently implementing a 5-year digitalization strategy for the period of 2021 to 2025 and is on the verge of rolling out a digital transformation and innovation program. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, Ghana's digital transformation agenda will obviously lead to increased electricity demand. As the nation's strategic and pioneering electricity generator, VRA has plans to support the laudable vision with affordable, reliable, clean, and sustainable energy. We have done this for 60 years and look forward to partnering public and private institutions to help Ghana realize its digital transformation agenda. We will, at the opportune time, invite all stakeholders to join us in Akosombo as we develop the various phases of Ghana's first model smart city. On this note, I thank you so much for your kind attention and hope that when you are invited, you will join us. Thank you very much.
The Deputy CEO in charge of finance, the VRA, Dr. Ebenezer Tego, representing the CEO. Please, another round of applause. We move on by exploring something which was begun yesterday by the CEO of the Margins Group, Mr. Moses Baden, the power of digital identities in resetting Ghana's economy. A lot of you are aware that right now we're going to seamlessly put together everybody's data as well as, all our processes by virtue of a card. The Ghana card will make that possible. How that will work out, I certainly don't know. But there's one man who is well-versed to walk us through all the nuances. Would you please make welcome the Director General of the NIA, Professor Ken Atifa.
Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be able to join you this morning for a conversation about the National Identification System and the post-pandemic digital transformation of Ghana. My presentation will touch on the mandate of the NIA, the law, some registration statistics, and a case for biometric verification, the piloting of a biometric verification system, and the next steps toward the digitization of this country. The Minister for Communications and National and Digitization is present, and I think important policy decisions would be announced in due course in this domain by the Honorable Minister and possibly His Excellency the Vice President. But permit me to indicate that as of May 16, 2021, there have been some 93,243 infections of the COVID-19 and resulting in about 783 deaths. The economy of Ghana has taken a hit significantly, with GDP growth projections for 2020 and 2021 being revised downwards from 6.8 to 2.6. The response measures adopted by government, combined with a loss of revenue, are expected to cost the government some $1.6 billion. Not surprisingly, therefore, for our country, where roughly 19 million adults have 14.5 million active mobile money accounts, Ghana's efforts to shore up the economy include measures aimed at promoting the use of digital financial and government services. The government focused on how ID systems, especially the Ghana card, which provides a single source of truth by law, can be used to help shape access to digital services, protect citizens' rights, provide access to public goods and services, and enhance participation in our national economy, thereby fostering inclusivity. The mandate of the National Identification Authority is to create a national identification system comprising fundamentally the enrollment of all Ghanaians from age 0 to infinity and all foreign nationals lawfully resident in this country, that is, those living here upwards of 90 days, onto a national identity register. The maintenance of that national identity register by the deletion of the names of Ghanaians who exit this world or who renounce their citizenship, and the addition of new Ghanaians, those who are born to us and those who naturalize or become Ghanaians by other lawful means. We are also to update the national register and to share the data that we create with other user agencies, and also to ensure that we engage in data exchange with specified institutions that the law calls user agencies and other institutions and persons that the NIA may designate by law. In the process, we are to also foster national data exchange through data harmonization and integration. So we register all Ghanaians, and then we create a national database, and we issue those people that we register with the Ghana card. And then we also establish the National Data Center and manage it as such. We are to set up a system for collecting, processing, and storing and retrieving and disseminating the personal data on the population, and to ensure the accuracy, integrity, and security of the data. We are also finally to make data in our custody available to the institutions that I have mentioned, particularly institutions that the law refers to as user agencies. And these are institutions such as the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, the National Health Insurance Authority, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, the Electoral Commission, the Births and Deaths Registry, and the like. The National Identification System that I just mentioned provides a secure biometric register with a verification system. And through this, the NIA can track and trace all transactions and return accurate and up-to-date information on each individual. The NIS provides a single source of truth for the verification of persons. You register by producing evidence of citizenship, and you go through an interview process which is rigorous, and the presentation of a passport or a birth certificate is not automatic indication of your citizenship. Even after you've submitted that, an interview process may result in the non-registration because of credibility issues. The Ghana card uniquely identifies the bearer based on biometric features at 3 levels. Biometric features using all 10 fingerprints, and then the face or facial, and finally the iris. It can be used for the verification and authentication of the identity of an individual. To ensure that we establish a national identification system, we, on the 29th of March 2019, embarked on a mass registration exercise that ended on the 16th of September 2020, extended by 6 months by the onset of COVID-19. In the process, we had targeted to enroll 80% of the population aged 15 and above. We ended up registering 15,546,911 as at 16 September 2020, representing some 84.25% of the target. We had exceeded the target of 80%. We printed a cast of some 15,384,638, representing 98% of our target of 15.5 million. And we issued the cards of 13,342,835, representing 85.82% of our target of 15.384 million. By law, the National Identification Authority is set up to be the only statutory body, the only institution in Ghana to provide a national identity card to citizens and foreigners. I've often been confronted with what is claimed to be bogus Ghana card issued to foreigners, and especially Chinese nationals whose cards, or Nigerians whose cards are often flashed on social media and presented as an indication of failure that foreigners have the Ghana card. That is false. Foreigners who have the Ghana card lawfully have the Ghana card. If you look, you would see that it says on top in red, non-citizen identity card. It is lawfully issued by the National Identification Authority, and it is part of a project that is called the Foreigner Identification Management. It is lawful, and all foreign nationals resident in Ghana are required by law to register and be issued with the Ghana card, and there's nothing inappropriate about it. That is different from a situation where a foreigner pretends or attempts to get the Ghana card as a Ghanaian, and the distinction has to be appreciated. But there are some 17 mandatory uses of the Ghana card. There are 17 transactions without the Ghana card, you cannot perform those transactions. And ladies and gentlemen, they include application and the issuance of passports, driver's license, and insurance policies, all banking transactions, the purchase, transfer, and registration of land, transactions that are specified under the National Health Insurance System, the pension scheme, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, and consumer credit, registration of voters, payment of taxes, registration of SIM cards, and applications for public or government services facilities, approvals, permissions, or benefits that are customarily available to the public, and any other transaction which the authority may determine and publish in the Gazette. Now we have the power to verify identity by biometric match. And this is because biometric data, in contrast to passwords, badges, or documents, cannot be forgotten, they cannot be exchanged, they cannot be stolen, they cannot be forged. Your fingerprints cannot be forged, they cannot be forgotten, and your fingerprints cannot be exchanged, just as your face or your iris can also not be forged or exchanged. Biometric data and the verification on which it is based is superior to traditional methods of verification in terms of security and accuracy. And as I indicated earlier, biometric system provides a single source of truth, which is essential for the accurate and authentic data that follows citizens throughout their life cycle from birth to death. This offers us significant opportunities for savings from duplicate systems and fraud risks as a result of unharmonized data. Weaknesses in traditional verification methods result in direct financial losses to institutions and individuals, and also cost us significant reputational damage. Attraction of investment into a reduced risk of fraud, and a process that is also likely to help us deal with the issue of money laundering and terrorism and other serious crimes in our country. And finally, the ease of citizen access to all government services and facilities, such as I mentioned earlier. The Ghana card has technical features. Most notably, it has a comprehensive database that captures biometrics of biometrics, citizenship, digital and residential addresses, the age of the individual, and also harmonizes neatly with the databases of other institutions. It harmonizes and also integrates with them so that there is only one Ken Atefa at DVLA, at Passport, at health insurance, or anywhere else. So you cannot have a situation where at one institution you are Kenneth Atefa, at another place you are Kenneth Ajiman, at another place you are Kwesi Ajimai, and the like, all the different kinds of permutations that we have found as mechanisms for defrauding people. It is secure with high-level encryption, digital certificates that announce to the whole world who you are, with the veracity that comes from the national, from NITA, which is under the Ministry of Communications, and a public key infrastructure and biometrics that are sacrosanct, cannot be tampered with. It high global standards with contact and contactless smart card with 128 memory chip, secure printing that meets global standards, International Civil Aviation Organization or ICAO and NIST standardization criteria with open standards, no vendor lock-in. It is unique in providing biometric verification system that is also fast, accurate, and not limited by geography. So whether you are in Azerbaijan or Andorra, Washington or Wasa, when you apply for the Ghana card, it can be issued instantly at multiple centers, and it can be verified at multiple centers in real time, and result returned in less than half a second. It is auditable, that is to say, you have the capability to track and trace all transactions and return accurate and up-to-date information on the status of each individual, including transactions of all kinds. And it provides a single source of truth for the verification of persons. There are a number of significant features when you look at the back of your Ghana card that we could talk about later. But the Ghana card is simply a card in its own class. in terms of international security standards and avant-garde features. And so I'll skip these. But I think it's important to simply highlight the fact that it is also called the ECOWAS card because we have combined the features of the ECOWAS card under a December 2015 ECOWAS protocol signed onto by all heads of states and governments in the sub-region. Ghana was required, and all the countries in the sub-region, they were all required to produce for their nationals an ECOWAS ID card. In 2017, it was determined that rather than produce a separate ECOWAS ID card and a separate Ghana card, we would combine the two, saving a significant amounts of money and the wahala, the hardship of queuing twice for the Ghana card, for Ghana card and ECOWAS card. So we combined the features to meet the specifications of ECOWAS whilst maintaining our own. So we have the Ghana card, and because it is valid also for travel within West Africa and meets the ECOWAS standards, we call it ECOWAS identity card, as well as commonly referring to it as Ghana card. Now, in order to make the Ghana card usable, we have to be able to verify the card when the citizen presents it. Beyond ocular inspection, looking at the person's face and looking at the picture to satisfy yourself that the person is who they say they are. Sometimes people look so alike that it's pretty difficult. So resort to biometric verification is important. And the banks and the telcos and all these other institutions have been waiting to do verification. We piloted the process in November 2020 with CalBank. And the verification devices were deployed and staff were trained, and 98% of the verification were performed through Know Your Customer processes, and the remaining 2% by a yes-no confirmation. Both facial recognition and fingerprint verification were used in the process, and average speeds, verification speeds were under a second, and the transition to utilizing the Ghana card did not pose any serious issues. And most customers in Ghana are conversant with presenting ID cards to facilitate their transactions. We also found that transactions can be performed without customers having their ID cards physically present. So if you were to present your Ghana card number alone, that would be sufficient. You can be verified. Or you present the Ghana card and you can be verified. You present your fingerprint and you can be verified. And in the post-pandemic era, or rather in the pandemic era where there is concern about contact, you may dispense with fingerprint and just look into the device with your facial recognition, and your verification will be performed under a second. The biometric verification system has streamlined the processes and made it more efficient. We need to scale up the verification platform, so we've developed a software that can be used by all the telcos in the country, by all the banks and non-bank financial institutions, and their branches across the country. And the user agencies that I mentioned earlier, Senate, NHI, DVLA, EC, Controller Accountant General's Department, the GRA, which is transitioning from the tax identification number to the Ghana card number, the Birth and Registry Office. All of this and many more institutions can use software for verification that has been developed. And other institutions such as the and the Ghana Education Service will come on board pretty soon. I've indicated the data transfer, data verification, data integration, and data harmonization. And we can identity of persons online as well as offline. In the case of offline verification, there are Android devices with embedded fingerprint scanner and card reader that can be used, and the device is loaded with bespoke software to read the Ghana card. With the online verification, got fingerprint scanner single finger and multiple finger scanners, card reader options, contact and contactless, meaning that you don't have contact with the information to be read. And then of course we have cameras and online secure fast action. The verification takes, as I indicate, 3 levels: iris, the fingerprint, and the facial. The comparison with fingerprint, for example, is 15.5 million people registered, almost 15 million. It means that we have 16 million times 10 fingerprints, those who are amputated fingerprints. In less than a minute, the verification will go through all those fingerprints and return accurate response. The same with the comparison of the facial portrait provided with the portrait for a given ID card number. Online verification, you get a notice. It does the KYC and provides a data set agreed between NIA and the stakeholder that is transferred to the interested party. The next steps, beginning June 1st, 2021, the National Identification Authority will establish and operate regional and district offices in all 275 constituencies of the country and all 16 regions of the country. At these registration centers, citizens can go and get registered, those who were unable to do so during the mass registration exercise. Those that are aged 15 and above. Those who did not get their Ghana cards can go to those offices in their communities where they registered and get their Ghana cards. No one can pick it up for you. It's biometric and you need to be present to have the card, to receive the card. At the regional and district offices, there will be opportunities for people to update their data. If you want to change a name, and you, after having gone through the lawful processes, you can have updates done of your address and the like. And of course, you can also do the upgrading of your and replacement of the card where you have lost it. We plan to register Ghanaians under 15 years shortly after we establish the offices beginning later this year. And we are obligated to register Ghanaians in the diaspora. That is also something that we plan to undertake in close collaboration with the Ghana missions abroad, which by law are required to provide the staff support for the work, so that we don't have to carry Ghanaians from Ghana all over the world to do the registration. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the next steps towards the digitization. Our ambition is to contribute to the development of this country, taking it to the next level and making Ghana not just robust and vibrant, but also avant-garde in the leadership of digitization. I thank you for your attention.
And Professor Kenneth, Executive Director of the National Identification Authority. Can we have the video? That's what happens when your operator doesn't do morning devotion before coming to work. Prof, would like to say thank you.
Thank you.
This morning, ladies and gentlemen, it is fit and proper that we acknowledge a great partner in our quest to achieve digitalization. This is a bank older than even Ghana, our motherland. But ladies and gentlemen, for all the years that they've been with us, they've shown leadership in their strides as leaders in digitalization. And ladies and gentlemen, with their SC Mobile, wherever you are on the face of the earth, you can seamlessly access your banking services and also transact from the convenience of your home or wherever you are. I give to you now, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Ghana Bankers Association and the CEO of Standard Chartered Bank, Madam Mansah Neti.
morning, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen. Very happy to be here. I would like to start by thanking the organizers of the CEO Summit for successfully bringing together as many CEOs and stakeholders to discuss and determine actionable ways of resolving some of the most pertinent economic and social issues. Coincidentally, the objective ties well with the stakeholder capitalism, which is the theme of my remarks today. So I'm moving away from digitization, and I'm talking about issues that impact the society. Over the last decade, one phenomenon that has become abundantly clear is the increasing complexity and instability of the world, characterized by significant socio-economic and environmental challenges. We find ourselves in a world where stakeholders expect or demand that businesses make changes that enable them make a difference by serving a social purpose and making a positive contribution to society beyond delivering on their financial goals. And joining corporations and businesses to serve the interest of all stakeholders and the society to create long-term sustainable value is the essence of stakeholder capitalism. It may sound quite complex, but it's very simple. For the purpose of our theme, we would define stakeholders to include employees, customers, regulators, and the communities in which we operate our businesses in. The leading economist, Milton Friedman, advocated shareholder supremacy, in which business executives worked for shareholders and were basically in business to make profits. He espoused the view that businesses existed primarily to earn profits and to ensure shareholder satisfaction. Recent global events, especially those in the past year, have made it increasingly clear that businesses exist to serve a purpose, to make products that improve the lives of consumers better, to preserve and restore the environment while promoting the well-being of their staff. To do this right, organizations like ours must first establish a clear purpose that defines its identity, why it exists, what it stands for, and how it is being perceived. According to Deloitte 2020 Global Marketing Trends report, purpose provides an organization a platform to build upon and a mirror to reflect its existence in the world. It is an organization's soul. The report emphasizes that purpose-driven companies witness higher market shares and grow on the average 3 times faster than their competitors while achieving higher employee and customer satisfaction. The idea and approach of companies defining their purpose gained momentum after Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, wrote a letter in 2018 to CEOs of companies in the firms he invested in, urging them to articulate the purpose of their companies and how it benefited stakeholders, including shareholders, employees, customers, and their host communities. He said, and I quote, "Without a sense of purpose, no company, either public or private, can achieve its full potential. It will ultimately lose the license to operate from key stakeholders. It will succumb to short-term pressures to distribute earnings, and in this process, sacrifice investments in employee development, innovation, and expenditures, and that are necessary for the long term. Similarly, in recent years, business organizations like the World Economic Forum have advocated and created awareness of the way companies must think about delivering long-term value for their shareholders and stakeholders, reinforcing the need for corporations to solve society's problems and provide more sustainable products and services. I was very happy to see that VRA is focusing on renewable energy. We have seen an increasing number of companies adopting environmental, social, and governance priorities. Recent research suggests that companies with a purpose do have a better connection with their stakeholders and are better able to respond to changes in the world faster. As businesses, the need to respond to the issues facing our society and our broader stakeholders is now more urgent than ever. We are living and working at an extraordinary moment in time where the world is facing unprecedented challenges. In the last 12 months, it has been arguably one of the most difficult times for the entire world, evidenced by the pandemic, an unprecedented global health, economic, and humanitarian crisis. COVID-19 exacerbated key socioeconomic challenges and continues to widen the inequality gap. There's therefore no better time for companies to pivot and start driving purpose than now. Not just an advertising PR tool, but because it's the right thing to do for all our stakeholders. Authenticity of purpose and impact remain critically paramount. This was evident in 2020 when organizations in Ghana across the world rallied to address the humanitarian and health issues caused by the pandemic. It was spontaneous, authentic, and impactful. Besides individual organizations taking up different challenges, we saw associations come together to support. For example, the Ghana Bankers Association, in addition to reducing rates and restructuring facilities for impacted clients, provided testing support for staff, PPEs, and relief packages for the vulnerable. Many of us here, along with other companies, contributed to the COVID-19 Relief Fund, which supported critical areas such as building of the Ghana Infectious Disease Center and free treatment of COVID patients, among others. We have all realized, though under unfortunate circumstances, what we as businesses can achieve if we focus on serving with purpose and commit to making an impact. As leaders of our businesses, our purpose must appeal to our workforce and must be continuously communicated and embedded throughout the entire organization. As we drive purpose, we must make our C-suite executives and mid-level managers long-term owners of the purpose and monitor the delivery. In defining our purpose, we must view stakeholders as partners in the journey and ensuring that we are driven by empathy. Ladies and gentlemen, Allow me to share the Standard Chartered experience of profits and purpose. Standard Chartered has been operating in Ghana for over 12 decades, and this year we celebrate our 125th anniversary. Being the oldest bank in Ghana, we have a rich history that straddles the entire span of the history of banking in Ghana. As a financial institution, our success has always been tied to the success of our communities and the clients we serve. Our journey over the last 12 decades has focused on driving long-term sustainable development, enhancing health and well-being of our communities and our people by putting our capital where it is needed most to drive commerce and prosperity. In today's volatile world, we recognize that trade and capital flows are failing to address and oftentimes may exacerbate some of the key socioeconomic challenges of our time, which should not be the case. Leveraging our robust compliance and risk management capabilities, we continue to partner with our regulators across the globe, including Ghana, to protect the integrity of capital flows within the global financial system by mitigating risk related to fraud, financial crime, and cybersecurity. We believe it is possible to drive commerce and prosperity without leaving people behind, destroying the planet, and creating divisions that diminish the sense of community. As we mark this milestone anniversary, we are raising our ambition of our purpose, which is now more critical than ever. We are convinced that we have a dual responsibility to drive profits and purpose, and we are aligning our strategy and its wider impact by connecting it to the big issues facing our world today. We aim to deliver better outcomes for our clients, employees, and our communities by contributing to raising standards and supporting the fight against climate change while playing a part in reducing poverty and inequality. Our ambition is to embed sustainability and responsibility into everything we do as a bank and to be the leading private sector catalyzer of finance for the SDGs where it matters most. This vision is reflected in our decision in 2020 to elevate sustainability as one of our core pillars of our strategy by focusing on 3 pillars: sustainable finance, responsible company, and inclusive community. We believe we can deliver sustainable prosperity in line with our valued behaviors: never settle, better together, and do the right thing, as well as our brand promise to be here for good. This approach is framed around a sustainability philosophy that informs our decision-making, position statements that set out our environmental and social standards. Our Here for Good brand promise reflects a commitment to doing the right thing and a relentless dedication to existing for the long term. Quoting Jose Vinales, chairman of Standard Chartered Group, "Now more than ever before, we must lead with our purpose. We need to use our unique capacity to work across boundaries, connecting capital, people, ideas, best practices, both locally and globally. We can accelerate our strategy and its wider impact by connecting it to the big issues facing our world today." In response to COVID-19 pandemic, Standard Chartered Bank announced a $1 billion not-for-profit facility to help clients produce goods and services to fight COVID-19. And we have had a number of Ghanaian companies benefiting from this fund. We have subsequently seen a significant growth in demand for sustainable finance products in recent times, underscoring the fact that investors are demanding this change. Last year, we released a report on the socio-economic impact of our lending to the manufacturing and infrastructure sectors in Ghana. The study tested a new approach to measuring impact aligned with our sustainability aspirations. The study revealed that our lending to the two sectors has supported over 100,000 jobs and contributed 1% of Ghana's GDP. It has also recommended sharing our approaches to climate change mitigation with clients to improve environmental impact. To this end, we'll continue to deliver sustainable finance solutions and will be directing more lending to renewable energy projects and to infrastructure finance with positive environmental outcomes in mind. For our communities, we support greater societal and economic inclusion by improving access to finance, by empowering underserved groups through our community programs, focusing on vulnerable and disadvantaged young people. We realize that inequalities within and between communities remain a challenge. The recent pandemic made this situation worse, reversing decades of social and economic progress and widening the inequality gap further. Young people and vulnerable communities were among those heavily impacted by the pandemic. All of our community programs, Youth to Work, Goal for Girls, Women in Tech Incubator, aim to build young people's skills and confidence and network, provide access to finance, and create an enabling environment by helping to break down barriers that prevent the marginalized from participating in economic life. This aligns to our purpose. For our employees, another critical stakeholder is our employees. Employee well-being has never been so important, and the events of 2020 has brought this to the fore. As an organization, we need to look after people. Spending a little more on staff, providing assistance for their mental and psychological well-being will certainly go a long way in increasing productivity and lead to good performance. When it comes to employee well-being, we may have to give up a little on cost and treat them fairly. The negative impact of COVID-19 provided us with an opportunity to accelerate our pursuit of better productivity and potentially better world of employees across the group. The ultimate overnight shift to a more flexible working arrangement, with about 80% of our staff working from home at the height of the pandemic, yielded financial benefits and greater diversity, inclusion, and wellness among our colleagues. As we focus on our stakeholders, it is abundantly clear that we will be creating long-term value for shareholders and investors. Ladies and gentlemen, stakeholder capitalism requires a concerted effort by the entire organization, starting from board, management, and employees. Good governance is vital to understand, respond to, and manage our stakeholders' priorities. The board of directors is responsible for ensuring that high standards of responsibility businesses are maintained and receives information to identify and assess significant risks and opportunities related to the environmental and social matters. In conclusion, I'll just say the pandemic and the shift in investor preference have catalyzed the need for businesses to contribute meaningfully to society. It has set the stage for the companies to become more purpose-driven. Ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that governments alone cannot solve the issues facing humanity, and increasingly society looks for answers from the private sector and expecting companies to address broader societal issues. Caring about the society and stakeholders should not be at the expense of our profitability. If done right, it should be an enabler for our generation of sustainable profits. I would look forward to an engaging session this afternoon by my colleagues on the panel about what more can be done to understand our businesses at the ground level, to better define and communicate their purpose as organizations. Make our leaders long-term owners, cultivate the spirit of excellence, view our stakeholders as partners, and monitor the delivery of purpose. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, 125 years of authentic purpose and impact, compelling case of profit and purpose, Standard Chartered Bank, and the CEO, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Mansah Nete. Please appreciate her with another round of applause. And so all is set now for us to hear from our guest of honor, Ghana's Minister of Communications and Digitalization. In the wisdom of the government of the Republic, it has decided to add on digitalization after our efforts here over the years as CEOs, business leaders, and influencers in pushing this agenda of digital transformation. It gives me great joy to welcome the Honorable Esther Osu Ekofu.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I deem it a great privilege to be invited to speak before this august gathering of chief executive officers and key decision makers from the most renowned business entities in our country. The theme you've chosen for this summit, digital transformation, powering business and government reset for a post-pandemic economic resilience, a public-private sector dialogue, is truly relevant considering the times in which we find ourselves. As people in charge of the management of various business organizations, the pandemic has demonstrated to us all that the transformation of our businesses through technology and indeed of the economy at large is the only way to survive, ensure economic growth, and the resilience of our businesses and our economy. Of the many lessons that the pandemic has taught us, one stands out: that the world is transitioning to a virtual way of living, and our ability to adapt to innovative ways of doing things is of cardinal importance to our survival. Be it in the way our employees were required to work, communications with our clients, the delivery of our products or services, and even in the fulfillment of legal and regulatory requirements. Digital technology has played and will continue to play a key role in ensuring business and government continuity. The world will never be the same again. Many of the interventions rolled out by this government since taking office in 2017 proved fortuitous, as they were pivotal in the amazing successes we chalked in the management of the pandemic and the resilience exhibited by both the public and private sector. It's as if we anticipated the upheaval of traditional infrastructure and systems caused by the pandemic and had been preparing our response. Since 2017, the government has tirelessly rolled out numerous initiatives aimed at formalizing the economy through technology. Key among this is the e-government project, which has witnessed the implementation of technological systems and platforms such as the paperless port system, e-procurement, e-justice, Ghana.gov digital payment system, mobile money interoperability, the digital address system, the smart workplace virtual office platform for the public sector, and many others. And an example of how these interventions have helped us in our current life is a simple illustration that I want us all to consider. Let's contrast the 2013 election petition, where electronic evidence was rejected by the Supreme Court, and the 2020 election petition, where even court processes were served electronically and evidence was given remotely. We've come a very long way indeed. Over the course of this pandemic, we've noticed an increase in the adoption of various technology-based tools by our people, from food vendors who adopted technology to reach customers and make deliveries. I got into trouble by advertising my favorite wache joint on my Facebook page, Tunga Wache. I still insist that it's the best, so if you haven't tried it, please do so. Our schools, including universities and basic schools, which went online and provided blended learning. Young people were providing grocery and other essential services through various mobile applications. Our telecoms regulator, the NCA, had to issue additional spectrum to network operators who had begun to experience congestion on their networks as a result of the increased usage of telecommunications services as our citizens adopted new usage patterns. Various digital applications were introduced to manage contact tracing and facilitate the safe opening up of our country from its lockdown. One of these solutions is currently being used by the African Centers for Disease Control in its Trusted Travel Scheme to verify and authenticate COVID test certificates and ease the frustrations faced by air travelers as the aviation sector regains some semblance of normalcy. That Trusted Travel Scheme is powered by Panabios mobile application, which was developed by young Ghanaians, and I'm very proud of it, understandably. In addition to these, the digitalization of our land registry is on course. Passport applications, I'm sure many of us will heave a sigh of relief at that, judging by the frustrations we face with our land tenure systems. Passport applications are now online. Renewal of the National Health Insurance Scheme via the mobile phone has been a phenomenal innovation, with an average of 70,000 renewals every week online. Paperless port has reduced the duration for clearing goods at the ports to less than 48 hours. We've also launched a new single digital payment platform, Ghana.gov, to provide a single point of access to apply and pay for services of ministries, departments, and agencies of government. The benefits of this system include growth in government revenue collections, as it's reduced the leakage of government revenue into unauthorized pockets, deepening expenditure savings, and helping our fight against corruption by reducing the human interface in the administration of public services. It is working very well. Happy to announce that government is using its purchasing power to grow digital entrepreneurship and businesses. And examples are the National ID, which was just presented by Professor Tefa, the digital address system, the Ghana.gov payments platform, which were all developed by Ghanaians, procured by government, and are world-class applications that are working very well. Ghana also launched the flip side of digitization is the increase in cyber crimes. And so cybersecurity has to be of utmost importance to all of us as we increasingly move many of our systems onto digital platforms. So we've prioritized cybersecurity since we took office in 2017 and launched the Safer Digital Ghana campaign in 2018 to create awareness amongst children, the public, businesses, and the government agencies. We've also ratified 2 important international treaties on cybercrime, cybersecurity, and data protection. The African Union Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, known as the Malabo Convention, and the European Union Convention on Cybercrime, known as the Budapest Convention. Ghana is only one of 3 countries which has ratified both conventions. A key to effectively managing data exchanges and preventing cybercrime is the comprehensive legal and regulatory framework protecting this space. And so we've enacted the Data Protection Law in 2012, and the Cybersecurity Act was passed in December last year to guide our digital governance environment. The modest efforts we've undertaken in cybersecurity has won commendation from the international community, from the Council of Europe, which has recognized Ghana as the hub for cybercrime capacity building in the English-speaking ECOWAS region, to the World Bank, which has commended our formative developments in cybersecurity and provided support to consolidate our modest gains, and the World Economic Forum, which has also identified Ghana for a public-private partnership on cybersecurity. In ECOWAS, we are the champions for cybersecurity and are leading this effort. As part of that, by the way, and the Vice President alluded to that yesterday, we will register all SIM cards and SIM-enabled devices from next month. And when the exercise ends in December this year, all unregistered SIMs will be blocked. We must clamp down on cyber criminals hiding behind the anonymity of digital systems to commit antisocial acts. And this exercise is a key part of that campaign. Our inability to do that in the past has largely been as a result of the lack of a secure identity document to verify the identity of those who would register those SIMs. Thankfully, because of this government's emphasis on powering our national electronic ID project, that is now behind us, and we have a secure document with which we can verify the identities of every Ghanaian. The Companies Act, Act 992, 2019, now allows for electronic transactions in your dealings with the Office of the Registrar of Companies, from incorporation through payment of fees, submission of annual returns, filing of documents, and many other transactions can all be carried out now electronically, creating a convenient environment for your businesses. Key to improving our ease of doing business is also the establishment or implementation of a cashless, which might seem a bit too ambitious, or a cash-light economy, which is doable. For businesses to thrive and be globally competitive, we need to have effective digital ways of making payments and reduce our reliance on cash. So far, the use of payment systems and platforms facilitated by the Mobile Money Interoperability Framework and the digital infrastructure we're putting in place, created by telecommunications and digital financial services operators, signals a step in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't have a meaningful discussion of the efforts being made at digitalization without a reference to the national ID card, otherwise known as the Ghana card. But I will not even comment on that because a full presentation has just been done. Efforts are underway to make it the sole identity card for all identification and business purposes. A single user card to reduce the duplication and waste and frustrations that we face in the sector. National ID cards are now being used as tax identification numbers from the 1st of April. The same number is also on course to be used as SNIT, health insurance, for SIM card verification, for opening of bank accounts, and for procurement of other services. We will link all our databases and make it easier to access, retrieve information from those databases, and to analyze the data and utilize it for planning purposes. We're working on improving access to connectivity across the country with our Rural Telephony and Digital Inclusion project, which will see the construction of 2,016 solar-powered cell sites in unserved and underserved rural communities across the country, in recognition of the fact that we can't leave anyone behind in our quest to digitize our economy. Every Ghanaian must be connected to the knowledge society unfolding before us. All these interventions I call the silent revolution, because we take them so much for granted, but we can all testify to the fact that they have improved our communications, business-to-business communications, business-to-citizen and government-to-citizen engagement. But if we implement all these digital systems and have to procure the services of expatriate consultants and service providers to manage them, what would we have done? We would have shot ourselves in the foot. And so we need to empower our youth with the digital skills that they urgently need to thrive in the new world of work, as traditional jobs are lost to the opportunities created by emerging technologies. We must manage and operate the systems that we're putting in place and developing and procuring. And our young people must be assisted to step up to the plate. Robotics, connected devices, Internet of Things, machine learning, artificial intelligence, which is powering telemedicine, e-learning or blended learning, autonomous devices, driverless cars are almost here. They all present challenges and opportunities. We must be ready and are working assiduously with the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service to ensure that our young people can also be active participants in the fourth industrial revolution. The African Continental Free Trade Area, the world's largest trade area by number of countries, has a goal of establishing a single market for goods and services across 54 countries on our continent, covering a potential market of 1.2 billion people with a combined GDP of 3 trillion. It will be powered by technology. Without digital platforms, applications, and services, which ensure the harmonization of standards, regulatory frameworks, e-commerce, seamless payments and settlement systems, amongst others, it will remain a pipe dream. Digitization is the only way to ensure free trade across the continent and to create an enabling system for trade financing using electronic means. In order not for businesses in Africa to miss out on the opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area, you will all have to employ new technologies in your operations or step up and enhance the use of the technologies that you currently are. Digitization, we all know, also increases transparency and accountability and reduces corruption considerably, as technology reduces the opportunities for the human interaction in the procurement of goods and services. The elimination of corruption in all its forms, and particularly in doing business, continues to be a core concern of government. So we're moving from rhetoric to action and putting in place the systems and processes which will actively address this canker. Ladies and gentlemen, I can only assure you once again that it remains the resolve of government to support the transformation of our entire economy. And more importantly, as the future started yesterday, we have to play catch-up. Consequently, these digital innovations will continue to be the order of the day. And as you all know, we have to adapt or we will die. As the Sector Ministry for Digitalization, and the change in the name of the ministry was not done lightly. It's in recognition of the fact that we need to develop our digital infrastructure, processes, and services in a coordinated, coherent manner, and build interoperable systems and break down the silos, which are preventing us from reaping the benefits of the digital interventions that we're putting in place. So now I make it my business. When I hear anything E or anything digital, I will poke my nose in there, because now that is my mandate. We will continue to provide the enabling environment and the necessary facilitation for the growth of this environment in which we are all working. The foundations, the systematic development of the foundations of our digital economy and the governance space provide ample testimony of our resolve. And we're confident that you, CEOs, and the entire business community will partner government in this and work with us to build a country that will be the envy of the sub-region. My goal is to make Ghana the go-to place for all things digital and all things IT in our sub-region. And we are well on the way towards getting there. Challenges exist, not least amongst them being attitudinal change, protection of turf, and our desire to work in our own small spaces, creating silos and hiding behind those walls. We recognize those challenges, but together we will surmount them. I thank you for this opportunity and for your kind audience, and I wish you successful deliberations.
Man, a round of applause. Ma'am, in time-held tradition of this house, oftentimes when a guest of honor comes, we like to engage. The president was here, the vice president was here yesterday. We engaged with him for a brief while. If it pleases you, we would like to have some comments from the floor. So please, if you're here with a comment, a suggestion, a question for the Honorable Minister and the sector, please raise your hand. I'll come to you with the mic and you proceed.
Great speech.
Good morning, Honorable Minister. I wanted to find out, with respect to the re-registration of SIMs, it appears that Ghanaians, for example, will not have difficulty in the registration process because we would have had the Ghana ID. What could happen to non-Ghanaians who are resident and will need to necessarily have a SIM in order to transact businesses in the country? So what will be the alternative arrangement for non-Ghanaians who necessarily must register to get a SIM?
Non-Ghanaians who are resident are also required to acquire the non-citizen ID card. The offices of all the district offices of the National Identification Authority will be open for business round the clock from the 1st of June. And so we're timing these processes and making it easy for everyone to do so. Now, for visitors who are not residents, who enter the country, they will be required to register their SIM cards with their passports, like we do when we travel to other jurisdictions. And so, if you're a resident foreigner or non-citizen, and you've not registered for your Ghana card, please do so. You pay a small fee for that. And I'm sure together we can work to make this a success. I thought you were going to ask me about those in our rural areas who also have to register. But we're making provision to send it down to every corner of this country to facilitate the registration, using the network of agents that the mobile network operators have, and using our post offices and community information centers as well, which are dotted around the country. So we're working out the modalities currently, and that's why I couldn't be with you yesterday, because we had a meeting on this very matter. The technical solution is being finalized, and there will be a comprehensive or extensive public education campaign prior to the commencement of this exercise. We take it seriously, and this time we have to make it work. Previous ones have failed, and we will make it work. So a question was posed yesterday as to whether we would allow new activation of new SIM cards alongside the re-registration without ID cards, and I said no. All new SIM cards must be procured with a proper verifiable ID card, which is a national ID card. Otherwise, you can't use that SIM card in Ghana.
One more clarification, Madam Minister. Okay, I wanted to find out about the infrastructure bit. In our conversation yesterday, we realized that infrastructure will become a key deployment requirement for the expansion of ICT in our country. So I wanted to find out what is the policy direction of our country in respect to making sure that in the remotest part of our country, the required infrastructure is available for the telcos to leverage on to deploy technology across our country. Thank you.
I did mention that we're in the process of construction 2016 cell sites across unserved and underserved communities in this country as part of our rural telephony project. Now that network is being built by government as shared infrastructure for all the network operators to utilize, to extend services to the remotest parts of this country. We use that also as the basis for the national roaming that has also been mandated. So just as you can roam on other networks when you travel outside this country, when you go to a part of this country where your network provider has weak connectivity or is not existent, your phone will pick up the strongest signal available there, which is what we are calling the national roaming, and that should also be operational by the end of this year. So through that extension of rural telephony and extension of implementation of the national roaming exercise, we hope to extend connectivity to every part of this country. There will still be a few black spots. Now, the rural telephony project is to provide both voice and data, unlike the previous ones, which were 2G and so provided largely voice connectivity. This one would have data functionality as well, and it is energy efficient, and the cost of deployment is saving us about 60% from the cost of traditional cell sites. And happily, that technology was also developed by Huawei in Ghana, based on the pressure we put on them to develop a cost-effective, scalable solution. It's 2G and 3G enabled, but it's scalable to 4G. And it can be linked up to the LTE network. So we're hoping to provide seamless connectivity across the country to facilitate the provision and usage of digital goods and services.
Thank you. Great initiative. Digitization is good for the country. I just would like to find out, is the government planning to create a technological hub where they can produce the technological products? Because without it, the digitization cannot be commercialized.
We started already. And if you visit the Accra Digital Center, it's a mini tech hub. But It's spanned about 40 different companies since it started its operations in 2017 and created significant jobs. Ghana has one of the most active technology innovation systems on the continent. We have about 26 tech hubs currently, but concentrated in Accra and Kumasi. We want to replicate the Accra Digital Center model across the country with mini technology hubs spread across the country. I liked VRA's presentation of their smart city concept. We're actually partnering, what's the name? Mauritius, to develop one at Dawa, which is next to the industrial village that is coming up there. We've procured land there to do that. COVID made it difficult to access funding for many of these projects globally. And so that has stalled that initiative a bit. But under the Ghana Cares program that is being rolled out by the Ministry of Finance as well, building technology hubs and promoting digital skills acquisition for our young people is key to job creation. And so that's also going to be factored in under that program. So we're looking at the establishment of similar facilities in Takoradi, in Kumasi, in Tamale. Land is already available. Now we already have regional innovation centers which are largely inactive across the 10 regions. And we're going to activate those two and start the innovation hub concept from there, using funding from the Ghana Cares project. So we're looking at that space as well. There are opportunities for the private sector to partner government in that as well. So if any of you has some spare cash, let's look at how we can work together in a public-private partnership model to see how we can reinvigorate this space as well. Thank you.
Our last question comes from Emmanuel Bini, who's come all the way from the Federal Republic of Nigeria for this.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the presentation. It's quite believable and inspiring. So my question is with regards to the AFCFTA, and I just want to ask if there is a plan to digitize the process, perhaps through a marketplace approach where all MDAs are brought together to facilitate the integration of the Ghanaian market into the broader ACFTA initiative.
There has to be, as I indicated, without technology, this initiative will not work. It will remain one of the grandiose schemes of the African Union which never see the light of day. But we're determined to make it work. So I know that currently discussions are ongoing on how to harmonize product registration across borders. So if your product is registered in Ghana, and you want to trade, send it to Nigeria, you don't have to go and re-register there because there's a single platform on which all our regulators are, and they can have oversight on the products that have been registered. The African Standards Organization is also working to see how they can standardize the products that are produced on the continent and ensure consistency in the quality of the products. You can't order one item today and the next time you place another order, it's the same thing, but it's different. And so that is also ongoing. We need to look at the platform on which we will trade, and it has to be an e-commerce platform. There are several e-commerce entities out there, all doing their own thing, but we need to have a continent-wide platform that everyone can plug in, that will provide security in terms of the provision of the payment systems and settlements infrastructure in there, and security in terms of the actual dispatch and receipt of goods traded on that platform. We need to be able to do that as well, and it's only technology that can enable us to do that. I was also asking the question in another forum that we have the Visa card and we have the American Express payment, Amex card as well. Every time we use that, we're empowering organizations and companies outside the continent. What stops us? And we have our digital financial services and banks in this room. What stops us from developing a uniquely African card or payment system to facilitate trade amongst on the continent? We have different currencies, we have different languages, but money, everybody understands the language of money. So let our innovators start thinking and planning and working on something like that, and it is doable. It will save a lot of money in transactions fees, or that money that is ending up in other jurisdictions will stay on the continent and enrich us. So it is only through digital financial services that we can even begin to have this conversation. Mobile money was developed on the continent, in Kenya, to meet uniquely African challenges. Continental Free Trade Area presents a uniquely African opportunity. Let's marry the innovation that our young people have to deal with our logistical challenges and come up with a unique product that will serve us well as we move towards full implementation of the free trade area. It is doable.
And so I ask the last question on behalf of all of us. We've been at this conversation since 2017. Ma'am, we just want to know what amount of the budget, percentage of the budget, has been allocated to all of this?
This industry is largely private sector led. And so many of the innovations are financed from the private sector. Government, as I indicated in the rural telephony project, is putting in excess of 100 million euros to do that. The Ghana Cares project, a component of which is based on digitization, is also in excess of $100 million. And so we're putting our money where our mouths are. Prior to the implementation of the rural telephony project, we were relying on the benevolence, if I may put it that way, of the network operators to extend connectivity to parts of the country. But they would only do that if there was a commercial imperative for that, and they would make a significant return on their investment. Not every part of the country has vibrant commercial activity which would enable them to make those profits that they were used to. And so government had to extend connectivity there. But the interesting thing about, we've done a pilot, and so the interesting thing about this is that once the service is available there, the people use it. And so even though they dimension it thinking that the capacity needed is small, that capacity is very quickly used up. And so rural sites are then migrated to commercial sites because it begins earning money. That's the beauty of the sector in which we are. Once the interventions are made available and people start using it, it boosts the local economies and generates revenue for everyone who dares take the risk in engaging in that. So government is hopeful that we've started, shown the way, created the systems. The private sector should take it up and run with it.
I will come back with a figure after I've consulted with in chambers. Once more, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digitalization, the Honorable Ursula Osuekufu. We thank you ever so much. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's important that we bring the first part of today's deliberations to a close. Respectfully, I shall ask for a group photograph with you, our guest of honor, in the company of all our speakers and our convener, the CEO of the CEOs Network, Mr. Ernest de Graft Ejiri. Ernest, if you're here, please applause as they come. Honorable Minister, respectfully I invite you, together with Madame Mansanete, together with Professor Atefa, the Chairman of the Board, just here, Lawyer Ernest Kofi Abochi, the Deputy CEO of the VRA. And so since this has been our life's work since 2017 up until now, I believe it falls to you, Ernest, to say a few words to our new Minister of Digitalization. What say you?
Hello. Thank you. Thank you all. Honorable Minister, we thank you so much. All speakers today, we thank you so much. Yesterday, we discussed the theme for which you were invited, because it falls directly under your ministry. Our call to action on the theme is for governments to consider having or passing Digital Economy Act. And your speech today falls in that. You have so many initiatives, digitalization initiatives. And we think that the CEO Network, CEO Summit, our call to action this year is that government and the ministry should look at having the framework, the legal framework, to put all these in it before we are overtaken by events. The second call to action was a request from the President of Ghana last 2 years when he attended the summit as a special guest of honor. He made an appeal to corporate Ghana to support the SDG fund. And so we have encouraged our members and CEOs of corporate Ghana to make that a priority in their financial plannings. We also want to assure you that the body of the Ghana CEO Network is supporting you in your initiatives, and don't hesitate to call on us for support. On that note, we'd like to welcome you, and at the same time, thank you so much for coming. Can we give it to the Minister?
And so the first photograph, after which I shall invite all CEOs to please join.
Pardon me for talking too much, but with respect to the Digital Economy Act, we need a policy which the Act would give effect to. So we're currently in the process of developing Ghana's digital economy policy and strategy, out of which, if need be, the law would also emanate. And I urge all of you to take part of the stakeholder consultations which would guide the finalization of this process. Thank you.
All right. It would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the South African High Commissioner to Ghana, Your Excellency Grace Mason. Please, let's have you join. And right after this photo, I shall invite all CEOs to please join. Let's show solidarity as we welcome our first Minister for Communications and Digitalization, the Honorable Esther Osue-Kufu. All right, so all CEOs, please, let's have you on stage. All our CEOs, respectfully, I invite you. We shall take one with our masks on and the second with our masks off. The last one with our masks off. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. We thank you ever so much, our Honorable Minister. And so this is how we bring closure to the first part. In a short while, we'll be going for coffee break. And when we reconvene, it will be fireworks over here, because we're going to the first panel for today, the economy and ease of doing business. I believe all our speakers have spoken into this sub-theme and even the next, which is corporate governance. We shall be glad to have you, Madam Mansanete, together with Honorable Minister and Professor Kenate for grant the media some interviews. Our resource person will come and facilitate that just at the end of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, before we leave, it's important that we hear from our platinum sponsors, Kwale's Group. They are building a new Africa. The founder is here. Please welcome Mr. Kwame Bediako, Nana Kwame Bediako.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, Excellency, Gracious Grace, CEOs, and my fellow Ghanaians. I would first of all like to start with, can you bring it back, please? So I can, or pause it for a minute. Thank you. So first of all, let me use this opportunity to thank the CEO Summit. It's a great opportunity for them to have created this platform for recognizing Africans, Ghanaians, and even foreign entities who have come into our country to set up platforms to help build our economies. I started my business from a very small scale, and I was just building on one plot. I wanted to be a builder. And I went to the land 3 times. The 3rd time, something told me, why don't you build 2 houses on one plot? So I decided to do so. I built 2 houses on one plot, and that became the principle of my business, maximization. So I'm not a real estate developer. I maximize the use of the land, the spaces. Thank you. This actually opened my mindset for business, and beyond that, for nations. I started to think differently. So from that 2 houses that went on one plot, before Qualis Group was formed, this is what we have done so far, and I'd like to share some of the projects with everyone here. Can we please? So Qualis Group has 5 subsidiaries: Petronia, Wonderworld, Belfast, New Africa Construction, and New Africa Foundation. These are some of the buildings that has come from the 2 houses on one plot. Qualis is a 40-apartment residence in airports. And number 1, by the Dankwa Circle, is 108 apartments on 1.5 plots. So this is where the maximization took. From putting 2 houses on one plot to 108 apartments. Bel Air Crest is in Cantonment. It's also 130 apartments on 2 plots. Avenue Lincoln, it's in Rich. Number 2 is yet to be built. Ritz-Carlton is coming up, a great address in Accra, next to Labadi Beach. WW is ongoing. It's the first medical tourism and offices. Graduators is our charity project to be able to provide homes for graduates. JW Marriott, it's also an ongoing project. And these are some of my projects in LA, outside Ghana. In 20 years, I have managed to build over 700 homes from Ghana to other parts of the world. The point that I'm trying to make here, it's what my country has made me become. So I decided to put this together. The revolution of development, how the world has changed from Asia to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, the evolution of Europe, how we got developed so fast. Now these are countries that are on global economy. What it used to be and what it has become today. The evolution of America is very interesting. It's become one of the strongest engines of the world from how it was built. And it was definitely built on the government working directly with the private sector. They managed to build the one currency, the dollar, out of industrialization. The next place to be developed is Africa.
Behind every vision there is an imagination. Imagine a new Africa, a continent of opportunities. Welcome to the new Africa, Petronius City. At the heart of Ghana's oil-rich western region is a 2,000-acre master-planned city. Within Petronius City is Africa's first energy city, a free zone enclave, manufacturing hub, the oil and gas university, a golf village with an 18-hole world-class golf course, and more. Explore more. Visit petroniuscity.com. Petronius City, building the new Africa.
Okay, thank you. So this is the vision of the Qualis group. Quali is my mother. And I grew up with my mother. She was penniless broke. And so I had to turn this curse to a gift. I wanted to find a way out. But when you're born in a country like Ghana, when the average person is poor, you're all swimming in the same sea. How do you get out? That's where my motivation came from. I needed to move my mom from where she was. I managed to do so. And after that, I decided to build my continent. But I started from my community. I just wanted to build a small place in Accra. I started with these 2 houses, it became 4, then it became 8, then it became 80, then it became 100, and now I want them in thousands. But that's not my dream. My dream is not to be extremely successful or find all these riches from development. My dream is to develop nations and to impact society. I got it from building. I got it from doing businesses. But today, I have realized that if I can put hundreds of homes and start to close the deficits of my own country, then I should be able to help the country get built. Hence, that's how I came up with the vision Petronia. I realized that Africa would not be built without new cities. And just to refer to what you said, Honorable Minister, that if we don't introduce digitization, industrialization, the technology hubs, the financial hubs, how are we going to create these jobs that will create the middle income to sustain our economy? And the reason why I think about the economy is I'm going to share it with you. When you can build 100 homes and you don't really find the people who have the money to buy, you will start to think about how you're going to get those people to become richer. Because I could afford, I have the wisdom to do the development, but when I look at the economy, I can see a huge gap in the economy. So I ask myself, who am I building for? There is no affordability in our systems. Yeah, great banks, congratulations, Madam Mansah, on your 125th anniversary. Yeah, great banks in Ghana, but does it really support our system? There's great corporate governance, but is it endorsed by the government? Or is it time that we realize that the government should now marry the private sector so we can start to revolutionize our sense of development, which will start from industrialization. This is why we are very interested in Petronia. Why did we choose Petronia? I'd like to share this with all of you. Petronia is in the western part of Ghana. The western part of Ghana has over 10 resources concentrated in one area. When you do these numbers, it's over 1 trillion, the proven records of the resources on the ground. I heard you say, Minister, that Africa in a whole, which is 1.2 billion, have a GDP of 3 trillion. We actually have 1 trillion, over 1 trillion, sitting in the western part of Ghana, which makes it by far one of the richest regions on the continent. So what does that tell us? Ghana is the new hub of Africa. we have the most resources that you don't have to travel 200 kilometers or you can find oil or gold. Oil, gold, gas, cocoa, rubber, manganese, bauxite, on and on and on and on. It keeps going. It's all in the western region. Opposite us is the coast. The coast, the sea, is going to be our biggest business, logistics. The richest man in the world, one of the richest, Jeff Bezos, he's just a transporter. Logistics. So if we believe that the after is going to be a part of Africa's revolution about trading, then we should remember that the private sectors should be able to situate themselves on platforms that will industrialize the entire economy. I don't see why we should buy 5,000 iPhones, import it from China, and come to Ghana to sell it. It's a plant. That same plant can be integrated, and that's it. We don't have to import again. Our computers, everything that we're importing, can actually be industrialized in our own country. So my question is, when I did my research, there is 92% of importation in our countries. But today, we have over 400 CEOs here. Why are we still importing? 92% means somebody takes the money from the system, goes out of the country, buy things, put it in a container, ship it here, and when they get here, they pay taxes, and they sell the same product times 10 or times 5. Suck all the money from their system again, and go back to the manufacturer. The day that we Ghanaians and Africans would have a whole industrial platform that is producing all of these things, would cut the importation and subsidize it with exportation. That would bring us more than 15 to 20% of our GDP increment. It would change the economy. Then I can sell houses. Then I can really sell apartments. Then I can build 10,000 homes. Because at this very moment, if you ask me that I'm a developer and I should go and get funding and build 1,000 homes or 10,000 homes because people need low-income houses and all of that, I'll tell you no. It needs a full integration. Without the integration, it's not going to work. And it needs a lot of planning. It needs a lot of industrial aspect. These are the changes that I believe this post-COVID has opened up to Africa. We have to understand that today, we don't have to travel to another man's country to be able to bring back home what we need. Because people are not allowed anyway. You don't want to go through this quarantine. You don't want to do all of this. It means you have to stay where you belong and create what your people need and build your nation. This is the empowerment that I have had from this current situation of the world. I've realized that we need to build our own. So, I'd like to urge most of the CEOs here, all the great people here right now, to support the vision of us building our industrial platforms. Technology is industrialization. It's a revolutionary industrialization, and it's taking over the world by surprise. And we need to merge that with manufacturing and create more CEOs. On that note, I would like to say I'm retiring from a CEO and I'm going to become an industrialist. So my post is available for grabs. If there's anyone here that is interested to continue with some of the things I'm doing, you're more than welcome to do so. But my mission, my vision, is to go into the industrial sector of this country. I have done so much with residential and commercial. Now I'm going into industrial. And all these three things are real estate. This gives me the opportunity to define my business, my work, real estate, how you can turn functional spaces into anything and make it available for sale. Industrialization is my next stop. And I would like to urge all of you to support the dream and the vision of Petronia, being able to create an industrial hub and have a distribution channel that would help and support the African free trade by us industrializing our own minerals and trading amongst ourselves. Thank you.
Nana Kwame Bediako and the making of a new Africa.
We have come to the end of the 5th Ghana CEO Summit. In the history of the world and pandemics, there have always been the need for resets. The world is embarking on the Great Reset. And so, through the Ghana CEO Summit, we have started the agenda of resetting governments and business for economic resilience. And of course, through digital transformation. In setting or resetting the agenda, and as a call to action by the summit, we have called on government to consider passing the Digital Economy Act to help create a legal framework to harness, organize all the various digitalization initiatives. It was very refreshing to hear the Minister of Communication give a response here that indeed the government has started digital economy policies leading to the creation of digital economy law. And I think that that is very positive. We have also, as a call to action, have encouraged you corporate leaders to look at factoring the SDG Development Fund for your year's expenditure. Because the last time the President spoke at the Ghana CEO Summit, he appealed to corporate Ghana to look at supporting the SDGs fund. Now, what have we gained for the last 2 weeks? We have been blessed with huge intellectual capital, social capital. For our sponsors, a whole lot of corporate brand equity has been gained. Dividing the theme into panels, we have been given a lot of dossiers on creating digital economy and being ready for the digital economy infrastructure for business. We have also looked at one of the very problems companies in Ghana have, that we do not go beyond the borders of Ghana. So, companies, you can call them African multinationals. How do Ghanaian companies go beyond the borders of Ghana? Through the topic, building an African multinational, we have been able to learn from people who have done that. Then, doing business is very pivotal. Economic policies, you can't do without. On the policies, responses, strategies, we have had very good resource persons to share that with us. And lastly, the boardroom, I said, is the engine of corporate operations. In the Fanti dialect, as the Fanti from Sarpong, we say Sanam Obesaya, Kofiniti. The fish start rotting from where? The head. So for the CEO Summit, anytime we are setting the agenda, corporate governance, board-related issue will always be part of what we discuss here. After a pandemic, it is not about profits. It's about the community. Hence the topic we just treated, stakeholder capitalism. It is the new corporate governance thing, right from the World Economic Forum. And so we should embrace it, and in the boardroom begin to enact strategies to help the communities in which we operate begin to enjoy from our fruits. At the end of today, rapporteur's report will be ready. A group of CEOs, we are putting everything together, issue out a communique, and send it to the appropriate quarters. We are also sending the summit brochures to 7,000 corporate entities in Ghana. Lastly, before I go, sponsors who helped us to power the Ghana CEO Summit and have continuously supported us to make it the biggest business conference in Ghana. We say we are grateful. We are grateful. Volta River Authority, VRE, Kualays Group, Ecom Ghana, Santol Energy, Bank of Ghana, Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Fidelity Bank, B Plus Group, Standard Chartered Bank, Margins Group, Equatorial Coca-Cola Bottling, Interplast, Key Architectural Company, Eris Properties, Compute Ghana, ADB, GCB Bank, Clifton Homes, Injaro Investments, Zenith Bank, JL Holdings Limited, Silver Star, African Diamond Cable, MTN, UBA, Blow Group, Belakwa, Dimensions Data, HMD, JK Industries, DDP Aldor, HMD Ghana, Puma Energy, Vodafone Ghana, Enterprise Life Insurance, Enterprise Insurance, Zoom Lion Ghana, Goyle Ghana, Imperial Homes, GT Bank, Magdan Group, Meridian Port Services, Vivo Energy Ghana Limited, Gold Key Properties, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Car Bank, DVLA, Software Group, Allied Oil, Total Ghana, IPMC, Special Eyes, Consa Limited, Universal Motors, CFAO, Stanbic Bank, NS Chemist, ZPay, Decathlon, Unichem, Radavia, Unilever, SIC Life, Tropical Cables and Conductors, Ghana Revenue Authority, Prabon Greenfields Limited, Enterprise Life, and all others. Can we give them a very good applause? For these are companies that have helped us to power this summit, and they continue to support. And obviously, the value proposition is good for them. On the back of that, I want to thank you and assure you of a very bigger, different format of the 6th Ghana CEO Summit. God bless you all.